Okay, so we're doing a little bit of review. The last couple worksheets we had were called 3.2, and what they were about is things that double, things that get cut in half, things that are exponentially growing or decaying. I'm going to give you a lot of chances to write equations today. I'd like you to start today by saying if the Asian carp we talked about yesterday were quadrupling every 6 days, and you started with 100 of them, then write an equation for it. 100 days, they're quadrupling every 100 days. How many days started with 100? Okay, I think I've just changed my... So I'm going to write them down. Quadrupling hasn't changed, I know that. And what I was going to go for, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was 6 days and 100 fish. Got my number turned around there. All right. So these parameters, you would want to start with an equation equals or f of x equals. And then you'd start with 100, and then you put a parenthesis here, and x, of course. And then how do I get... here. And then the last part, have to say in days. Otherwise, how would the equation be any different if you had said 6? Wouldn't. It'd look exactly the same. So you have to clarify that you to work for days. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, good. Now let's do a similar thing. Except we'll talk about another fresh news story. A decomposition. When you bury your cat, you expect the cat to decompose. Didn't happen the other day because lady cat, her son went out to put a on the cave and he heard meowing. What had happened was she like. Oh, she even touched like the tongue on the cat. The cat didn't react at all. Cat's tongue was cold. Listened for heartbeat. Heard nothing. Couldn't tell any signs of life in the cat. So she's like, "Oh, poor Fluffy," and put him in the box. Put him in a. Thankfully, this is the good part. Put him in like a FedEx box, and then buried him in the backyard. If Fluffy had just been, covered with dirt when Fluffy woke up, depressing Fluffy. But instead. A flower. I mean, obviously cared about the cat. Goes out to put a flower down, and so she dug him up, and he's fine, just fine. Oh, anyway, if you were expecting decay, you wouldn't get it in that. But let's say cat started at 6 pounds, had actually been dead, and decayed. And therefore lost half of its body weight over the course of, let's say, 73 days. So we had 6 pounds to start with, yes. It's a pretty small cat. That's what I'm using that because that's how much our cat weighed. 73 days. Half the weight's gone because of decomposition. All right, so here we go. Y equals, let me see. I start with 6, my initial value. I want half my weight, so I'm going to use half. That's how it also worked for half life of uranium, whatever. And then the x over, and then how many days did it take? 73. There we go. And good point. If I did not put in days, I marked wrong. I did not guaranteeing I would mark it wrong, but I think I might have to. Depends on the problem's wording and stuff. In days. No, the key thing here is what this is, the time is, because that's the one that could really mess you up, because 73 days, 73 months, 73 years, how can you tell them apart? All right, so there we go. Let's talk about a different kind completely. If you have an equation that's called exponential growth. That's the office phone. That doesn't ring too often. If you have... Yeah, it's true. I never get messages anymore, like once a year. It goes up like this, but then it tails off and starts going like that. Then it's not exponential anymore. It's what? Logistic. Yes, basic logistic is the official name. And if we go to, let's say, 80 as a max here, and we always tell you the starting point of, let's say, 0, 3, and then another point along the way of, let's say, 5, let me think, 21. Then I'd like you to see if you can write the equation for this one. I'll give you a hint in case you're completely stumped. You start with y equals 80 over, and the 80 is the limit to growth, over 1 plus ab to the x, and you got to figure out a first by using that point. And don't just stick here. A lot of kids do that. It is wrong, not correct. It is wrong. You have to put in the 0 and the 3 into the equation for x and y. Otherwise, you won't get the right a value. Okay, here's what you should have done. First thought. Not right now. First thought, we have to put in this. We have to put in this is 0. We have to put in the y. Don't talk, please. 3 equals 80 over 1 plus a. Then I'm going to move the 1 plus a. Multiply it up here. This times this is cross multiplying. 3 times the 1 plus a equals 80. And this is a smarter way than distributing the 3. The 3 being distributed will make it much more painful. I'm dividing by 3 on both sides. And now I have 1 plus a equals 80 over 3. I don't know what that is, but I can leave it as 80 over 3. I subtract 1 from both sides. There I go. I've got a. I know it's a little ugly, but that's what a is. And now I can put that back up into the equation. And now I can rewrite that same red equation over here as y equals 80 over 1 plus, and the a part of it would be 80 over 3 minus 1. What? Oh, okay. I'll show you what would have happened if you'd have multiplied this 3a. If I'd have multiplied that out, I have 3 plus 3a equals, and then this would still be an 80. Okay. And then you would subtract 3 from both sides. You'd have 3a equals 70 minus 3, which would be the 77 you're talking about. So a would equal 77 over 3. Now that's the same exact thing as the other one. It's just the other one hadn't been simplified as much. So I kind of like the 77 over 3. I'm going to use that. No, you wouldn't have to have done that way, but that's a good way. And now that's a better a. And now I got to figure out b to the x. And then the x number here and here I get from there and there. So x is 5, y is 21. So I go 21 equals 80 over 1 plus 77 over 3, b to the 5th. I have to solve all of that. I'm going to do it really fast. I get 21, 1 plus 77 thirds equals 80. And there's a b to the 5th in there. And then I'm going to divide by the 21. Then I'm going to subtract the 1. Then I'm going to multiply by 3/77. Holy cow, this is a tough one. And then the last step is this whole thing has to be put to the power of 1/5. There won't be anything that ugly on there, but we'll talk more after lunch. Let's talk more after lunch. Okay, welcome back from lunch. Here we go. I am about to give you this quiz. It has 6 questions on it. It'll be worth 7 points, actually, because the top one's got 2 parts. Catch it is worth a point, and give in behavior is another point. And it is this test for getting this stuff based on this little quiz. So, not all the whole class is back from lunch here yet, but if you want to get started on it, go ahead. And all 6 points in, I'd say, 15 minutes. I was asked a couple clarifying questions I want to put on the video here. On number 1, yes, you're just sketching it, so you don't have to be super detailed. You could give me the start value on your sketch. That'd be smart. Number 2, it's just all I want is an equation. For number 3, all I want is an equation. For number 4, all I want's an equation. Some kids did limits on this last hour, and that wasn't good. Number 5, all I want's the equation. And number 6, all I want's an equation. Okay, so it's a lot of writing equations, because obviously that's what we're really getting at for this communications test. Okay, so I'm going to pause again, work on those 6 questions. Okay, so here we go. We're doing this now, and it's out of 6 points. Actually, sorry, because number 1 is worth 2. So here we go, a sketch. I hope you noticed that that is decay, and therefore it looks like that. Now, if there's a kid who didn't notice that it was decay, which I know there will be, then you have to be careful when you grade the second part of the question. By the way, the starting value is 30, so it would have been great if they had a 30 there. If they didn't, half a point. Did they to label the initial value? Okay, then the next part. If they have it part right and part wrong, they can have half. Moving on to the right end behavior. The right end is lim of the function as x approaches infinity. That's the right way over there. Now, it depends. If they goof up and they went like this, they'll think the answer. You can give it to them because you already marked the other part wrong. But what it should be is it's heading towards 0. So it should really be x approaches infinity, and the answer is 0. Give the right end behavior with limits. If you do that, they lose the point. All right, on to number 2. Start with. Then we want to move it 5 to the right. That would be like this, minus 5. Then we half as wide. As wide means a 2 in front. And the last thing is 3 times taller. Would mean a 3 in front of that. Think of it this way. Every little part they have wrong is a half off. So if they messed up 2 of the parts, you'd lose the whole point. But if they just mess up 1 of the things, they can lose a half. Questions? That multiplication should not actually happen. It's going to have the power happen first. So that would be a half off for the questions. No, the graph is 1 point. The limits are 1 point. Now remember, that's out of 6 question test. It's out of 7 because of the first problem is worth 2 points. All right, moving on. For 3, start at 20, has exponential growth of 6%. For initial value, 6%, 1.06 to the x. There. Okay, guys, focus on this next problem. Have you graded it yet? It's number 3. Yes? Okay, so they forgot the 1 point half. If everything's right except that. Moving on, this one to the x. Why? Because it's not a limit to growth kind of question. This is an exponential growth or decay question. So figure out what a is. A is the starting value, and the starting value is 8. So in this kind, you can b to the x. Now in the y, x is 5, y is 1. So I have 1 equals 8b to the 5th. Divide by both sides, 1/8 equals b to the 5th, and then take it to the 5th or 1/5 power. So b is that mess right there. Final answer, y equals 8. B is that mess, 1/8 to the 1/5, and then it's an x. If they forgot the x, they lose half credit. Yes? Yes? Eight to the 5/8. Nope. I think they were trying to do this part. I'm going to give them half because they had all the parts right, but they did a little multiply they shouldn't have. Moving on, number 5. Shh. Please stop talking. Focus. All right, on this one, you start with y equals, and then we need the limit at the top, 70, over 1 plus a b to the x. And the a, you cannot just take this 7 and stick it in. That's the kind of problem that won't work. X is 0, y is 7. 7, 0. Nope, the b is gone because it's b to the 0. So now I'm going to multiply both sides by 1 plus a, so it's 7 times 1 plus a equals 70. Another way to think of that is put this over 1 and you're cross multiplying. Either way it works. Now I'm going to divide by 7. 1 plus a equals 70 divided by 7. 70 divided by 7 is what? 10. So this is a 10. And then subtract 1 from both sides. A equals 9. That's part of the problem, but unfortunately you're not done. This is pre-calc where it's not that simple. So now we take it, move this over, say y equals 70 over 1 plus 9. And then I need a b to the whatever, and this is the ugly part. So now I'm going to take my 3 comma 9 and put it in here. 3, 9. 9 equals 70 over 1 plus 9b to the third. Then I'm going to multiply both sides by 1 plus 9b to the third. So it'll be 9 times 1 plus 9b to the third is equal to 70. Now, 9, subtract 1. So I'm going to take the thing and get rid of this 9, divide by 9. Last thing is, this whole thing is in parentheses to the 1/3 power. So, final answer. Y equals 70 over 1 plus 9, and then this big ugly thing, which is 70 over 9 minus 1 all over 9, 1/3, and then it needs the x. Very good. It's its own special way. Yes? That's a good question. I will give half on this if they got to the part where they had the a is 9, but they can have half. I think you know that won't happen. All right, and the last one. And the last one, think of this as a question, and it's happening like this. One, that's right. Comma goes in there. Decreasing to 30,000, doing this kind of a thing. And here's my 30,000 over 3 comma 30,000. So it's sort of like you do. You can write y equals and 100,000, and then the b I don't know. I'll put a b, and then I put the x, and then what do? I put it right here, and the x is 3, and the y is 30,000, and I have 30,000 equals 100,000. I think I'm missing 0 there. B to the third, and then I'm going to divide by 100,000 on both sides. And then I have to put it to the 1/3 power to get rid of that right there. So I'm putting it to the 1/3 power. And so B is all that. So final answer, y equals 100,000, parentheses, the B we figured out is that. Yes, you could reduce it, but you didn't have to. Over to the 1/3. And then we need an x. Now, last one was just like one of the other ones. It's just that it said it in words. Really good. Here and here. All right. One was worth seven. Top of the.
About this. I got